The day I told my wife I wanted a divorce, her son was upstairs practicing his presentation for the 4th grade science fair. I could hear his little voice rehearsing through the ceiling, the same voice that calls me Dad every single day. But according to the law, according to my wife, I'm not his father. And I never will be. That realization didn't just break my heart. It ended my marriage. Mine. My name is Marcus, and this is the story of how love, loyalty, and legal paperwork tore my family apart. 5 years ago, I met Sarah at a coffee shop in Portland. She was juggling a laptop, a stack of papers, and trying to order a latte while her 3-year-old son, Dylan, tugged at her sleeve, asking for a cookie. Papers scattered everywhere. I helped her pick them up. Made Dylan laugh with a silly face and somehow ended up sitting with them for 2 hours. Sarah was a single mum, recently divorced, working 2 jobs to make ends meet. Dylan's biological father, Kevin, had walked out when Dylan was just 18 months old. Barely sent child support. Never called. Never visited. Just ... gone. I didn't plan to fall in love with both of them, but I did. Dylan was this tiny human with big, curious eyes and an endless supply of questions. Why is the sky blue? Where do birds sleep? Can dinosaurs come back? And I found myself looking forward to answering every single one. Sarah and I started dating slowly, carefully. She was protective of Dylan, understandably cautious about bringing someone new into his life. But over time, I became a fixture. Holiday weekend pancakes. Bedtime stories. Teaching him to ride a bike in the park. The first time Dylan skinned his knee and ran crying to me instead of Sarah, something shifted in my chest. This wasn't just my girlfriend's kid anymore. This was my boy. After 2 years of dating, I proposed. We had a small backyard wedding, and Dylan was our ring bearer. He took it so seriously. Or walking down the aisle with that little pillow like he was carrying the crown jewels. During our vows, I looked at both of them and made a silent promise. I would be the father Dylan deserved. The father Kevin never was. The next 3 years were beautiful. We bought a house in the suburbs with a big yard. Dylan started calling me Dad naturally, without prompting. As the one who picked him up from school, helped with homework, coached his little league team. Sat through every parent-teacher conference. When he got the lead role in the school play, he ran off stage and hugged me first. When he had nightmares, he crawled into our bed and fell asleep between us. I wasn't trying to replace anyone. I was just being present. Being there, being his father, in every way that mattered. Kevin, meanwhile, remained a ghost. He'd show up maybe twice a year, awkward and distant, bringing expensive toys like they could compensate for months of absence. Dylan would play with them politely, but I could see the confusion in his eyes. This stranger claimed to be his dad. I was the one who knew he liked his sandwiches cut diagonally, that he was afraid of thunderstorms, that his favorite bedtime story was about dragons. Last year, something happened that changed everything. Dylan fell off the monkey bars at school and broke his arm badly. Sarah was in a meeting 3 hours away. The school called me. I rushed to the hospital, but when I got there, they wouldn't let me make any medical decisions. Are you the biological father? The nurse asked. No, but I'm his dad. I'm his stepdad. We're married. But it didn't matter. They needed Sarah's authorization for everything. I sat there, helpless, watching my son cry in pain, unable to do anything meaningful, because, legally, I was nobody to him, too. That night, after Dylan was asleep with his bright blue cast, I sat Sarah down. I want to adopt Dylan, I said. It wasn't a sudden decision. I'd been thinking about it for months. But that hospital moment crystallized everything. I want to legally be his father. I want to have the rights to make decisions if something happens. I want him to have my last name if he wants it. I want to make this official. Sarah's face went pale. She didn't smile. She didn't hug me. She just said, "We need to talk about this later." Later became days, then weeks. Every time I brought it up, she deflected, changed the subject, got busy with something else. Finally, I cornered her. "Sarah, why won't you even discuss this? What's going on?" That's when she told me. And I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Kevin might want to come back into Dylan's life someday," she said quietly. "If you adopt Dylan, Kevin loses his parental rights completely. I can't do that to him. He's still Dylan's biological father." I stared at her. Kevin, the man who abandoned his son, who shows up twice a year with guilt gifts, who doesn't know Dylan's favorite color or what grade he's in. That Kevin. He's going through things. Marcus, he's struggling. But he's still Dylan's father. "I'm Dylan's father," I said, my voice shaking. "I've been his father for 5 years. Where was Kevin when Dylan learned to swim? When he lost his first tooth? When he cried because kids made fun of his lunch at school? I was there. I've always been there." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "I know, and I'm grateful. But I can't erase Kevin from Dylan's life. What if someday Dylan wants to know his biological father? What if Kevin gets his life together and wants to be involved? If you adopt him, that door closes forever. That door should be closed." I practically shouted. Kevin had 6 years to walk through it. He chose not to. War. Why are you protecting a man who hurt you, who abandoned your son, who's proven over and over that he doesn't care? "Because he's Dylan's father," she repeated, like it was some sacred truth that trumped everything. I felt something crack inside me. "And what am I?" She hesitated, just for a second, but I saw it. "You're his stepdad. You're amazing. You're the one who's here." But legally, biologically, Kevin is his father. That word. Stepdad. After 5 years of being dad, of living and breathing fatherhood, I was just a stepdad, a placeholder, temporary, replaceable. Over the next few months, I tried everything. I showed her articles about step-parent adoption. I talked to our family therapist. I even suggested we get Kevin to voluntarily terminate his rights, offering to pay for his lawyer. But Sarah shut down every conversation. Her position was clear. She wouldn't allow the adoption. Period. And her reason. Kevin might want to be involved someday. Not that he was involved now. Not that he'd shown any indication of changing. Just ... might. Someday. Maybe. Meanwhile, Dylan started asking questions. "Dad, why is my last name different from yours?" "Dad, Tommy's stepdad adopted him. Can you adopt me?" I didn't know how to answer. How do you tell a 7-year-old that his mother won't let you be his legal father? Because she asked, holding the door open for a man who walked away. The breaking point came 3 months ago. Dylan's school was doing a family tree project. He came home excited, spread out his poster board, and started drawing. He put himself in the middle. Sarah on one side, me on the other. Then he stopped. "Do I put Kevin on here?" he asked quietly. "I don't really know him." My heart shattered. "That's up to you, but you can put whoever feels like family." He thought about it, then drew just the 3 of us. Me, Sarah, and him. That was his family. But when Sarah saw it, she made him add Kevin. "He's your biological father," she insisted. "He belongs on your family tree." Dylan looked confused, hurt, even. He erased part of his drawing and squeezed Kevin's name in awkwardly. That night, I heard him crying in his room. When I went in, he asked me, "Why doesn't Kevin love me like you do?" I held him, told him he was loved, told him he was special. But inside, I was furious. Sarah was so worried about Kevin's feelings, Kevin's rights, Kevin's potential future involvement, that she couldn't see what she was doing to Dylan. And to me, that night, after Dylan fell asleep, I made my decision. I walked into our bedroom where Sarah was reading. "I want a divorce," I said. She looked up, shocked. "What? Why?" "Jet, because of the adoption thing." "Marcus, that's not a reason to—" "It's not just the adoption," I interrupted. "It's what the adoption represents. You don't see me as Dylan's permanent father. You see me as temporary. Yeah, keeping the door open for Kevin, which means you don't fully trust that I'm here to stay. After 5 years of showing up every single day, you still see me as conditional. That's not fair," she said, tears streaming. "I love you. Dylan loves you. You're his dad in every way that matters. Except legally. Except officially. Except in the one way that would actually prove I'm not going anywhere." I sat on the edge of the bed, exhausted. "Sarah, I've given everything to this family. I've loved Dylan like he's mine, because he is mine. But you won't. Let me make it official, because you re-holding on to some fantasy that Kevin will magically transform into a real father. And every day you make that choice, you're telling me I'm not enough. That I'll never be enough. Kevin is his biological father," she whispered. "I can't just erase that. I'm not asking you to erase it. I'm asking you to prioritize the man who's actually here. The man who loves your son. The man who wants to legally commit to being his father forever. But you won't. Rhea. And I can't live in a marriage where I'm always second place to a ghost." We spent the next week in painful conversations, therapy sessions, tears. Sarah kept insisting I was overreacting, that the adoption didn't matter, that I was already Dylan's dad in all the ways that counted. But she wouldn't budge on allowing it. She had a dozen reasons. Kevin's rights, Dylan's heritage, keeping options open. Not wanting to be that kind of mother who erases the biological father. But underneath all of it was the same message. Kevin's potential future mattered more than my present reality. I moved out 2 months ago. Dylan was devastated. I told him it wasn't his fault, that I loved him more than anything, that I would always be there for him. But explaining why I was leaving without making Sarah the villain or destroying his sense of security was impossible. Sarah told him we needed space to work on things. But we both knew the truth. This wasn't a separation. This was the end. I still see Dylan 3 times a week. I pick him up from school, take him to baseball practice, help with homework. But now there's this awkward tension. He knows something's broken, even if he doesn't fully understand what. Last week, he asked me, "Are you still my dad even though you don't live with us anymore?" I knelt down to his level, looked him in the eyes, and said, "I will always be your dad. Always. No matter what happens, no matter where I live, I'm your dad. Okay?" He hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. "Okay?" But the truth is, I don't know what happens next. Without legal adoption, I have no rights. If Sarah decides to limit my time with Dylan, I can't fight it. If she moves away, I can't stop her. If something happens to her, I have no claim to custody. I'm entirely dependent on her goodwill. And that's the position she's chosen to keep me in. Kevin, by the way, hasn't visited in 8 months. Hasn't called. Hasn't sent a birthday card. But his name is still on Dylan's birth certificate, and Sarah is still protecting his rights. I've been called heartless by some people. "You're abandoning a child over paperwork," they say. But it's not about paperwork. It's about commitment, respect, and recognition, too. I wanted to show Dylan that I wasn't going anywhere, that he could count on me legally and emotionally forever. Sarah's refusal told me that she doesn't see our relationship that way. She sees me as temporary, conditional, replaceable. And I can't build a life on that foundation. I don't regret asking for the adoption. I don't regret standing up for myself. But I do regret that Dylan is caught in the middle. He didn't ask for any of this. He just wanted a dad who showed up. And I did. I do, Ved. Apparently, showing up isn't enough if the law doesn't recognize you. So now, I'm filing for divorce. Sarah thinks I'm being dramatic, that I'm throwing away a good marriage over something silly. But it's not silly. It's everything. It's the difference between being seen as Dylan's father and being seen as a helpful bystander. And after 5 years of proving myself, I'm done begging to be recognized. If you've ever been in a blended family, if you've ever loved someone else's child as your own, if you've ever felt invisible despite giving everything, drop a comment and let me know where you're from. Your story matters. And if this resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe. I'll keep you updated on what happens next. Because this story, it's far from over.